My name is Crystal, and I'm a digital marketing consultant. So excited to share a soulful conversation today.
I'm good to see you again. Had to walk out to let you back in. Stuck in a storm of a relationship. Lost my fire. Oh, and I forgot about me for way too long. But it's rolled on. Now there ain't no shade around here. Won't you leave the
Sharenza back again with another episode of our amazing show, Conversations, Soulful Self-Care Conversations. I almost went back to my old name, but I'm so excited to have this episode on because it's somebody very special to me. And if you guys all remember back in the day when we were in this massive shutdown with the C word, a lot of us did the other C word, which was called Clubhouse. And I met so many people through Clubhouse. And today episode is exactly an amazing person I met who now has become not just a friend, not just a networker, but actually part of my business. And she's actually helped me to find harmony in my business, which is what I want to talk a little bit about today. But her name is Crystal Fox, and she is the founder of Fox Business Marketing AI, a Chicago-based digital marketing consulting company helping small businesses like me automate, optimize, and grow. She's even helping my husband, you guys. I got him to buy into it. So he understands the need for this. But with a background in revenue generation and creative strategy, Crystal blends tech and storytelling to simplify marketing, empowering entrepreneurs, and make digital success achievable for all of us. So if you are an entrepreneur who's a little like putting your toe in the water with the digital marketing, or you're not sure, grab a pen and paper, get your cup of tea or a cup of coffee. That's what you're going to do. Well, I won't hold anything against you for your coffee, but I want you to take some notes. And if you're driving, no worries, because everything will be in the show notes, as we always say. And come back and take some really cool notes, because you're going to want to get to know Crystal after this episode. But hello, Crystal. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for the intro. I love
You're
it.
welcome. Yay. All right. So before we get started, and I don't know if you sneak peek this already, but I never have questions. So if you're new to the show, I do not have a set of questions that people ask me. In fact, if I have somebody that won't be on the show because I won't give them questions, then guess what? They don't get to hear from you. So today, Crystal, I'm gonna take you back into time when you were a little girl and all the things you did. I want you to share with us what was little Crystal like, and what did she want to be when she grew up, and how does that correlate to what you're doing today? Now, I can't actually do this without me giving an example. So for those that are new, that are not new to the show, you're going to hear my story again. And those that are new, I always like to give an example. So growing up, I was in a household there, my communication skills were not very exemplified with my parents, because they would have these horrible arguments, and they would not talk for weeks on ends, and then all of a sudden you come home and everything's fine. And so I want to change that. I wanted to become a teacher. I wanted to teach elementary school kids. I wanted to empower them to be these great people in the world. However, where I went to school, and because of my parents' background, they didn't have the understanding of what college looked like and how to get there if you didn't have that money to do so. So I went to the school of hard knocks, taught myself so many different things. And as I got this amazing adult that I am today, I decided to go take courses like life coaching courses, health coaching, and all those different things that helped me to do what I do today. So if I was to say how I correlate to Little Pearl wanted to be a teacher. And so now I just jokingly say, well, all those little girls I would have had back then, I get them as adults. I get to reshape them. So that's how it correlates to me.
Yes.
So it's your turn, Crystal. Tell us about little Crystal.
Believe it or not, I was almost mute. I was so shy. I would not talk to anyone that I did not know, and that is pretty extraordinary, considering if you know me now, I don't ever really stop talking, and it's because I'm so inspired. But I was so scared of my voice back then that I never shared it. I was scared of showing up, and I went through a very similar situation myself, so I connect with you in the way that my parents weren't, they were trying their best for their first time in the world. However, it was not the easiest childhood. There was a lot of addiction, there was a lot of fighting, a lot of domestic abuse. And I feel like that was the shell that I had around me. It was this like protective shell. So I didn't want to talk. But then I lost my mom when I was 13, and it just like shake and rattled my world, like completely. Everything that I knew from a small town to having to relocate, live with different family members, it was this like survival of the fittest. I had no idea how much I was always in survival until much later in life. But it gave me this drive because I knew the situation that I was in. I didn't want to be there anymore. I didn't want to give that to someone else. And if I was ever going to have a family or someone I loved, that's the last thing that I would want to give them, was kind of all this stuff that's on me. And kind of this way of thinking, this mentality that was just something I grew up in. And I know that you understand that as well. So for me, it was kind of the foundation of me being resourceful. And in that, just like you said, you go to coaching, you find these different ways to educate yourself, something that you weren't given. And I have leaned into that completely. I am someone who wants to figure it out, always wants to figure it out, and know that there's a solution somewhere. Like, maybe not right now, but we're going to figure it out. So that's really, long story short, of little Crystal going from completely mute, shy, kind of head down, timid, to being funny. Like, the sense of humor that I I kind of come with is my enjoyment in life. I love to laugh at things. Especially in business, there's moments that will catch you off guard, and you're like, wait, there's a learning lesson there, but it's kind of funny. Like, oh, I did this. So there's humor is a part of survival, I think, as well. So all in all, that really led me to loving business, loving psychology, and that is a part of my journey. So I got coaching, I did counseling, which I speak on Crystal Ball Clarity of It All podcast, my podcast that I was running, and that really grew and allowed a lot of things to shatter around me and open my eyes. And I feel like I played this role of wearing a lot of hats. And I loved it. And podcasters don't realize when you originally get on that there's a lot of hats to wear, which are great hats, but the list is not necessarily handed over to you. And I definitely was someone who wanted my podcast to be number one, next to like Rogan and all, anyone. I was going to be number one. So I exerted myself to the fullest. And that was probably the most pivotal point into kind of what led me into diving into digital marketing and starting this agency, which kind of pairs with businesses like yours. And it allows you to have more of a boutique styled marketing agency that's working with you.
So it's so cool because like as you're walking, I'm like going, yeah, that's why she does that for me. That's why like you can just see how it all like meshed into you and like created who you are today. And that's why I always ask the question, because we forget to go back and recognize the little us and recognize all the work that they did to help us get to where we are today. Like you said, and some of the work is great work, some of the work is hard work, some of the work is loss, some of the work is trauma, all of that stuff shapes us to who we are as these adults today. And for those that are listening, those that are struggling with, how do I mesh it together? That's the part that I love to do, is to help take those feelings and help understand that doesn't have to define who you are. It's part of your journey and how you show up for yourself and becoming that person who wants to make a difference in the world. That's what I love to do. And sitting and listening to you talk, the great thing is I get to have you help me do that because of how little Crystal grew up, right? And I can't imagine, I mean, everybody knows, and that I lost my son. Losing a child and losing a mom, those are big losses in our lives, especially at a young age for you. And like you said, you went into this like survival mode, and we get in these survival modes, like we just hold on to things that, like, I loved how you gave the example, like you gave yourself this cocoon of protection, right? You put this cocoon of protection together, but it also quieted you. And so to have something, like you said, that shook you and said, okay, I don't want my life to be this way. So I've got to make changes. I've got to, get that pivot happening and step out of the shell and break that. I wrote down break generational because we are a product of
Mhm.
what we're around and who we hang out with. I mean,
Yeah.
I forget who did the statistic, but like if somebody's on a health journey, they talk about the 5 people you hang around with that are eating habits, you take on their eating habits. Drinking, whatever those people you hang around, that's what unless you're really, really good about going, I can break from that, it can be hard. And so
Mhm.
like where you said the resourcefulness, that's what, and then the wearing the different hats, that's what I see is why you do what you do today. Like that resourceful, like you are so resourceful for my
Mhm.
business and many other the people that I know, some of the people I know that we work with as well, and to help us be okay. You have these hats you need to take care of for your business. Where can I step in to help? And the reason why I wanted Crystal on today is especially my entrepreneurs that are listening and are watching, or if you're thinking about doing it, plus my CEO moms who are trying to do a side hustle from home. Sometimes we have to understand we can't do it all. And like I always equate, I had a business coach, and you and I know her, Julie. At one point, she said,
Mhm.
"What is your hourly rate?" Well, I charge $300 an hour in some cases. So,
Mhm.
is it worth $300 an hour for you to go check that email? Is it worth $300 per hour for you to be managing your Google reviews, setting up your funnel, like all these pieces? It's
Mhm.
like those when you do the hard work and you audit yourself, that's where you're like, oh, it's not worth it because I can have Crystal come on and set up my Google page. I mean, I think what was it last year? I think you and I started together, right?
Yeah, it was last July, believe it or not.
Yeah, I can't believe it's in a year. So I was at
Mhm.
a point for those that are listening. I was at a point. I was like, I can't figure out my Google stuff. I don't know how to get it ranking. I don't know what to do. And I handed it off to Crystal, and it was right around just before I was having my retreat last year.
Yeah.
And the coolest thing that she's taught me, and then we did it again this year, was like when you have your audience in front of you, make the ask, not just for making the ask for working with you, but make the ask of saying, hey, you just got this experience with me, pull out your phone and do a review. Right. And
Mhm.
so I did that last year. We did it again this year. And Crystal didn't even remind me to. I'm like, okay, on my list of things to do is I got to get reviews. Right. And so Crystal, like, walk us through
Mhm.
give us a little idea of some of the things that you do, and then lead us into
Mhm.
how these things that you offer, like you offer me my, of course, you handle my newsletter, you handle
Mhm.
my Google reviews, you also help my husband with his business and getting him some exposure. But walk us through why it's important that we have something like that. I know, but I want
Mhm.
you to share, and then I'm going to piggyback off of you.
No, that's fair. Like I said, I wore too many hats, and there wasn't, like you said, there wasn't harmony between them. And you can pick and choose to feed, like the social media beast is what I call it. And it can just take so much energy out of you. I think it's also something that is goal oriented to have people around you, just like coaching, that helps you change your mindset of just chasing. Because when you're chasing and chasing instead of attracting your customer and your clients, then your focus is kind of in a different area. And Pearl knows I always preach this. You can always stay busy playing business instead of really leaning in to find who are you serving and sticking to your why. Why are you doing this? So Google luckily has really built out a business profile, and they're constantly changing. Even this week alone, there's some huge announcements, which I will be sharing with you later. And if you are not at least on the directory, so you're talking about Google, Yelp, Bing, well, for me, if I'm searching for any legitimacy of a business, those are the first places I'm going to, along with your Facebook, probably. But the reviews, especially when it comes to food, I'm like, 4.3, there's something up there, 4.3. But consumers and your clients are always navigating this space of trying to see where they're putting their money. And you want the investment into showing, one, that you're legitimate and you're being present. If I see someone who says that they're going to be doing something and they're just not, or they have really bad, terrible reviews, and sometimes those can be bots, but they're not being handled, or a bad review not being responded to, I'm like, what if something happens? What if there's bad business and, they won't even comment or respond to me? Those things matter so much into your reputation management. So that's really what we've leaned into with even Pearl's business is this is something more personalized, and you do want to make sure that you're talking back to your clients instead of just kind of sending it out to the land and having no response for them. And especially your reviews, Pearl, are inspiring. You are getting to really listen to each person's point of view of your retreat or their coaching with you. Those items, one, are so important to respond to, but then two, it shows other people how you show up. And that is the most important. The thing with Google is you need at least 10 reviews to start really getting into the feed. And that will even change probably in 2 months from this conversation. But most importantly, kind of the new search engine optimization is kind of being everywhere all at once, but not overdoing it. So if I'm going on Reddit and making something for myself about cookbooks, but I'm in digital marketing, that's not really, suiting me. Or if my client base is more on Facebook and I'm still sticking around in Reddit, again, I'm not really strategizing and creating that harmony of everywhere that I can be showing up and probably putting the most energy in. And we only have so much. So you don't want to drain something, especially being an entrepreneur. You are the battery, you are the engine. And you're managing either other people, like you said, and that's probably my last point is having a team around you. There's nothing, if Pearl is sitting there constantly doing her invoices per se, or constantly doing her newsletter and staying busy in the emails and all of that, well, where does she have time to coach? Where does she have time to plan for her business? So those are different items in consideration of the investment. And we're seeing that more marketing boutique, which is why I wanted something that works in tandem with your business instead of going against or focusing on one area, because it's all about strategy, really.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote down a couple of things versus chase versus attract, because that's exactly how I was feeling. I felt like I was sort of chasing because I'm trying to get all these things done, and like you said, do the newsletter, and then what happens is things fall through the crack. Then you go, well, I'll
Yeah.
get to the newsletter later. I'll get to that. And since I handed over the newsletter to you, like every week, our newsletter is consistently going out. It's like, and that's the goal that I had is I want to be consistent in the newsletter, and I was doing all these, these things, but I wasn't attracting. And now, between the reviews and having you on my team, and then of course, Monty's my VA, having those things to help put those other things in place has been amazing because it's giving me time. Like today, I've probably done 6 recordings of podcasts, which every Friday is what I wanted to. And to give you a perfect example, I was behind a podcast that my editor was like repurposing podcasts, right? And I don't want that. I want my material to be fresh. I want it to be accurate. I want it to be current. And so that releases that time so I can do the things like the podcast. I can do the things like my coaching and having conversations about my retreat and things like that and making an impact on people's lives. And I do like what you have done, Crystal, because how many times, and you and I've talked about this, I've talked to other people, I've had other resources, and I pay for this resource. However, I don't get the results. And I'm chasing going, you said you're going to do this. Now I got to chase you to get your job done, right? Or, you come to my retreat and you say you're going to do this service. And even in the middle of me doing a live event, I'm now chasing you to do your job at my events. And so having somebody like you that's in place to be like, okay, here's what I need, here's a vision. And the really cool thing is like you help me walk through the vision and you challenge me. Well, what do you think about looking at it this way? How does it sound like this? You help me see things differently. Hence, the other thing that I want to talk about that you've helped do is streamlining. So not only am I streamlining tasks that keep me from being able to do coach and the things I like to do, podcast and retreat planning and retreat. But I'm also now, one of the benefits has come from working with you is I'm also able to reduce outlay of money for what I'm spending because you and I just went through, we audited who my CRM is. We won't name names, but we audit who our CM is. We audit, all the different things I'm paying for.
Mhm.
And I have this new business coach I'm working with. And one of the things she said is, I want a P&L. I want to see what you're doing. And when I did that on my birthday this week, by the way, those that are listening, that was my birthday gift to myself, was to get it done. I realized, oh my gosh, I'm putting all this out. So Crystal and I had talked about moving my CRM stuff to a new platform that we found, and we were going to leave my website piece there. And then I texted her the other day, like, we haven't even talked since I texted her, and I said, what if I didn't leave my website there? What if I just brought everything over? And the reason why is when I looked at my P&L, I thought, I'm still going to leave that over there, but it's capable over here. So it might be a little more work for us, but in the long run, I'm going to save money, which in the long run, when I have my P&L and I'm looking at it quarterly now, I can look and say, I saved, by us moving that, just so everybody understands, that's almost $1,200 a year I'm going to save.
Mhm.
$1,200 is a vacation for my family. It's doing a donation to some nonprofit that I want to support. So, Crystal, talk to us a little bit about not just the time saving, but the money savings we do when we hire somebody, we work side by side
Mhm.
with somebody like you.
I want to go back and talk about what I call the bait and switch. So I can say, oh, like, look at this pin, it's pretty, and you're going to get this beautiful pin. And then you show up, and I've brought a pencil from 95, and you're sitting there looking at me like, what just happened? And I feel like I have been through this process with many marketing agencies, many vendors that entrepreneurs work with side by side. And there's a lot of hidden fees that me and you kind of really saw in making a good decision for your business, one that you're in contracts with. So this is not legal advice by no means, but when you're in contracts, you're kind of stuck paying whatever it is. And in your case, moving over your website, you'll have ownership of that. And there is a difference, especially when it comes to software building for websites. And the software that we've really leaned into has the CRM, has the community base. Your invoicing is a click of a few buttons, and having one dashboard to even see your opportunities and your revenue is so nice for an entrepreneur, not to have to grab every analytic from every space to then sit down, which I'm glad that you said that you're sitting down quarterly, because that should be a focus, and you're able to now have time to do so. But most importantly, if you were going to every platform, you're going to spend for every platform. Is your ROI really coming back to you? And the time spent, because even if you hire someone, virtual assistant, digital marketing, we're all great at what we do, we might not know the specific platform that you're using or the 10 platforms that you're using, and that will consume your time in the teaching, the training. But having this one platform is going to excel Pearl's business dramatically over the next year. We will see more time for Pearl to be with her clients and herself and her business and her loved ones. Travel, she's always on the go. So that's really, I think I see you kind of shine when you're always on the go, and I love your videos. But having one area, one team that is looking to do that for you will save tremendously over the next year.
Yeah, and I love that you reminded that, because no matter what, I mean, we have our P&L, and I'm in this great network group on it's called Moxie Mindset. And one of the things we talk about is, you can have a P&L, but are you making money? Just because you're getting money in, are you really making that money, right? And what are you doing
Mm-hmm.
with that money? And are you chasing it? Are you attracting it? Like, that's the same thing with your money. Like, are you chasing your money? Or are you attracting money into yourself? And and you're right, the whole bait, and we just went through this like the past 6 months or so, this bait and switch. And it's a
Yeah.
shame, because the other thing that happens is we have to, it's just like in our personal life, we have to teach our brain to decipher, are they tell me what they want to sell me because that's the thing that I'm saying I want, right? And now I'm like
Yeah.
going, man, they knew I was in this point of the want, and the promise was, and then of course, you and I went through this whole process with it, and it really wasn't
Yeah.
deliverable. And the thing was, for me, the other part that bothers me is, I introduced it to two other people who one of them introduced it to you. So now it's not just me, it's like four of us together that they've gotten this, bait and switch kind of thing on. And so now that we've found this other platform, and we're not going to talk about it because we don't want to, if you want to know, you got to call Crystal and she'll tell you how to do that in a little bit. But now we found this other platform. Like I feel like, and this is so crazy, you guys, and this is why I want this conversation. After 10 years, I feel like I finally got some systems in place. And so when I did this audit of my P&L, I also audited going, what coaches did I have in my world? I mean, I love, I mentioned business coaching, but sometimes
Mhm.
certain business coaches are not meant for us. Like sometimes a business coach that needs to help that person that's just starting out. Sometimes it's a business coach that needs to help the person that's been a few years in that just needs to tweak some stuff. Sometimes you need a
Mhm.
business coach that's going to say, I need to flip everything upside down. I need somebody to be right there with me to understand. I know some basics, but I need you to flip it for me. And so that's sort of like where I am right now. I'm sort of like in this flipping the switch, being like, okay, we're just about there now. It's time to level up. And part of that for those that are listening and been with me before, part of it also is I have to recognize and sit with and accept that, the past 3 years have been rough. We lost our son, Matthew. Things are going to happen. They're going to put us behind. Had I had the right systems in place, then if I had Crystal, then my newsletter still would have been going out. Those things would have still been going out instead of them kind of stopping. And so now I'm in this like catch up mode. I'm still here, kind of exposure mode out there, saying
Mhm.
I'm still around because rightfully so, people might have thought, well, she lost her son, so she's just going to go and hibernate. And so having those, if I had the crystal in my world at that point, I wouldn't have really missed the beat. It might have slowed down some, but not to almost a stop. It wasn't a screeching stop, but it was a very good intensive stop or slowdown. So now I feel like, okay, I my word for next year, I've already picked my word for next year, is called streamline. I'm already doing it now. Like my
Okay.
word is streamline. How am I streamlining? So if you're listening, how are you streamlining what you do? And when was
Mhm.
the last time you did an audit of your business to say, how can I make a change? And I'm going to give a shout out to Ati Gritzman. I did an audit of my business the first quarter, I want to say, of this year. And one of the things that I got from that was, first of all, she said, change your, she curses a lot, everybody, change your effing name because you are not a mental blah, 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 blah coach. You are a say yes to your life coach. I'm like, wow, how many years have I been working with somebody else and they didn't get that? All this
Yeah.
stuff I've been doing this, right? And so that clarity was like a light bulb switch with me. And then she looked at the other stuff I'm doing and she's like, you have no funnel, you have no way people coming in. So those things by the end of December are all going to be in place because I decided, okay, Crystal, we've done my Google page. How do we level up? Right. So
Mhm.
leveling up, like when people come to work with you, can you kind of explain that? Like, what is the experience when they first come in? Like, what's that client experience for them?
Yeah, I think at first, what is leveling up? It depends one where they're at, where their business is, and then what is the goal? Is the goal to get more followers per se? Some people are more influencers and follower count matters, which is completely okay. And then are you looking for leads? Are you looking where your client is? So it's a lot of asking the questions, but preventing the overwhelm for entrepreneurs because there's a lot of hacks, tips, do this, don't do that, post 60 times a day. Again, if you're posting 60 times a day and you're the one pretty much running the show, there's no time for, well, anything else. And I think with me, what you're going to see, and really you can ask Pearl, is you matter first. You're running the business, just like you said. Life is going to happen, but you need someone that is supporting you during that time, and they have to know what is going on. But if I'm sitting there saying, hey, do 20 things by tomorrow, and something happens in your life, there's just like this overwhelm. It's never going to be mentally good for you. And mental health is so important, especially in this industry, because you can't really give from an empty cup ever, 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 ever. You'll think so. You'll push the limits, and then your body will always tell you, trust me. Um, so for me, it's about getting super clear. What is the goal? where do they want to go, and what's the investment. I think that is super important for anyone to have that conversation. How much time do you have into doing marketing? How much time and budget for marketing? Where can you at least start within those means, instead of saying do 100 things, because you already are doing 100 things. So I think preventing the overwhelm, getting clear, and then, like you said, it's a step by step. So I'm all about actionable items. If we can't go from A to C and I'm keeping you at A, you're never going to grow. Your business will become stagnant, and then I'm not a good partner to you. The goal is to keep moving forward and not just play business and staying busy. What can we actually see? So you've seen the newsletter, like you were saying, coming out consistent. Your community is seeing that you're showing up, but also I always tell you, I love to know where is Pearl? What is she doing? She's like Carmen Sandiego. And I am like, what is she doing this week? What is she doing next week? She's winning awards, she's speaking, she's giving into people. And that is something that social media can definitely display. But when you're coming into your community's inbox and you're like, this is what I'm doing, you can even join me. There's a lot of times that they can join you in your journey. That right there, that's where you're showing up for your community, you're showing up for your clients, and you're not just feeding this beast of talking to nobody, essentially, like screaming out into existence.
I love that you brought that up because it's something funny I'm going to talk with Crystal about. I'll just throw it out here in a second. But so I like what you talked about, that, like being clear on your goals, where you want to go, and what's your investment, right? Because let's
Mm-hmm.
be honest, for those of you that are listening, it is an investment. And sometimes it's like I don't have that. But however, having a conversation with Crystal has been so beneficial because we
Mm-hmm.
were able to, like she said, boutique style it and say, okay, I can do this, this, and this, and then this is where I am for budget wise. What can I do until I get there to up level to the next thing? And so that's why I love also working with you, is because you recognize that there is a need and you have created the boutique style. Because there are people go, it's either this or this, and you're like, well, then I can't do any, because you feel like I can't. And so that I love that you do that. And then also, like, where do I want to go? Like, where am I at today? Because like you said, I like preventing the overwhelm, but I wrote down the goal is growth, not just play busy, right? I
Mm-hmm.
wrote that. What is your growth that you want? Not just playing busy, not just looking busy. And so that is so important for me, is like having that opportunity to have my growth, not just play busy. And then also, in fact, today when I was looking at my calendar, I'm like, okay, I need to plug in some other times, like for my working in my business some more, because I am this
Mm-hmm.
busy, and it's great because I've handed you a lot of things. However, there's some other things I'm like, I need to do for me personally.
Yeah.
Like I need to, but because this is a trick too for those that are listening. You can hand off and you can fill in, but are you supposed to fill that in? Like, why did you hand it off in the first place? And why are you filling in something you shouldn't be doing just because you handed it off, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't be, eating bonbons or whatever, whatever. I mean, I take a nap every day, so everybody understands. I take a nap every day for 20 minutes. That's my thing. Chuck is like, how can you take a cat nap for 20 minutes? I'm like, it's just who I am. That's just what I do. But I'm like, I have to get up. Sometimes if I'm not careful, though, I won't be able to be as motivated. So I have to time that nap around. Am I really, really tired? Because if I'm really, really tired, then I won't cat nap because I will sleep longer. So it's all like measuring that out, which goes back to what I started to say is like, just because I've released something doesn't mean I have to fill it in with mindful, just busy stuff. I need to be very proactive. I need to be spending, be mindful of my time. Something that I learned from Julie too is tiny habits. If I'm doing this, how
Mm-hmm.
much am I doing it, right? Because it's so, so important that we, like you said, we grow, not just play business. And that's what's really powerful. I want to touch on something you just said about where is Pearl. So my friend here in
Mm-hmm.
town, she owns a bridal shop, and she has a bride and groom stuffed animal. And they're like, where are they going today? Because they do, like, it's really cool. I think they do, it's either Monday or Thursday. They have date day between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one day of the week that they have staff that's in their store, and then they go and have a date day. And so they show a picture on their social media and go, where are they going today? Like it's the two of them, right? And so I was like, oh my God, that's so fun. And then you were
That's
saying like,
cute.
where's Pearl? Because like this weekend I'm speaking at an event, which is tomorrow. And then tomorrow night I'm actually going,
Mhm.
after I speak at the event, I'm coming home to grab Chuck to go out to Orlando, which is probably an hour and a half drive to go and have dinner with his sister and brother-in-law. They're flying in from Orlando before they head
Nice.
on a cruise. So then we come home, and then next weekend I go back to Orlando to speak at another event. And then you mentioned it. The following week, I had to because we go speak and get an award in Miami. I come home from that, and then I'm going to go to a retreat with my friend Mary Gooden. She's hosting a retreat for me and my friend Angie Grimes. So, and that's in Sedona. So I was like, I was just saying the other day, I'm like, because you know, I have this Shiro and all this stuff. And so for my ambassadors who are listening,
Mhm.
I have this funny doll that we have at the retreats. Do you remember her?
Yes.
She's
Yes.
a
I
little
have the
big.
image stuck in my head.
She's a little big. She's a little crazy, but she's got such that I just like she kind of excused the joy that like I like to be like, here I am
Mhm.
screaming, here I am. Let's go. Where are we going? I was like the other day going, maybe I need to take her with me and be like, come on, let's
Oh my
go.
gosh.
And create conversations with people like, who is that
Mhm.
you have? I
Mhm.
had a friend, Annie, she used to have a nonprofit. I don't think she does it anymore, but it was around seatbelts. And she had
Mhm.
this live puppet, and it was about, she was seatbelt
Mhm.
something. I can't remember her name. And everywhere she went, she was on her arm everywhere she went. And I was like, maybe I need to take her and put a
Mhm.
little, you know, put one of my t-shirts, my pajama shirts on her,
Mhm.
get a little mini cape and create a cape for her because she's my Shiro that's going to go along with me.
Has to
Right?
have a cape. Has
She
to
has
have a
to have a
cape.
cape. And so I was like, I got to talk to Crystal about this because I think it would be really cool. Like, we launch her off. She's going to go everywhere I go. And even when I go on an airplane, I'm like, I just bring her. She can, you know, if I'm on Southwest, I'm trying to save the seat next to me. She can sit in the seat next to me.
She will not allow anyone to sit there. I'll tell you that.
So Crystal knows what I'm talking about. If you guys want to know, you're going to have to reach out to me at wsliving.com and have a cup of tea. I'll introduce you to her. But I was like, I was thinking we should have a contest for her name. And
Oh
then we
my
should,
gosh,
and
yes.
then I was like, just take her with us, like dress her up with all the pearls and everything, because everybody thinks it's crazy. And the funny thing is, you guys, Crystal's laughing because she's seen the doll
Mhm.
head. The funny thing is, everybody at the retreat, she's involved in the retreat, and everybody's like, "Well, I don't want her." And I'm like, "This is the one person you want on your bed at the end of the retreat because there's something really cool that happens out of it." And
Mhm.
Melissa, if you're listening to it, you can kind of comment in the comments below for the podcast. But so it's a lot of fun. So I was like, maybe I need to talk to Crystal about this because, like you just said, somebody just told me the other day, where are you
Mhm.
going next? Because I'm like, I'm not going to be here in 2 weeks, and like, where are you going next? You know, so I feel like she kind of needs to start coming
Mhm.
along with me. What are your thoughts?
The journey, and you can also send her to places too. Like, send her over to Angie, because the photo with Angie, and I've never met Angie a day in my life, but hilarious. I'm sure that it's in one of your reels too, so go check her social media out. But so funny. And again, I think you could also ship it around and make
Oh,
it a
I love
topic
that
of
idea. Like, okay,
conversation.
you need to take her this month. It's with you this month. So,
Yes.
and then here's where you're going to mail it next. I give a box to mail her. Oh, I love that. See, you guys, this is why you have to have somebody like Crystal in your life because I would have just thought, just keep her with me. But how cool it is. Like, she's like, where is she at today? Actually, Crystal,
Mhm.
I have two of them.
Where did you find two?
I ordered it online. So I have two of them.
Oh
So I
my
could keep one
goodness.
with me and I
Yes.
could ship one all over. So somebody's one's always with me.
Oh
I
my
love that.
goodness.
Do you guys understand why you need somebody like Crystal in your life? You need somebody like Crystal for your business. Because
Yeah.
here we are, we're masterminding things for my business. And this is what you need. Because when I'm
Mhm.
always playing business and I'm always busy, I can't brainstorm and think about these fun things. And as crazy as it sounds, I mean, Crystal, like social media, things like this is what attracts.
Yes, especially for your community too. Like, this is also an inside joke that you're allowing other people to, kind of take a glimpse in and bring them in on the joke too. So it invites your clients and other people in, especially me, right? Like, I'm over here laughing, tickled about it. Um, but again, it also allows you as an entrepreneur to step away to get creative. And we can think about a million, different ideas, but it's the one that works for you. And you need that with someone else to say, well, what else? What else is there? And bring more ideas to the table too.
I love that. So I think we're definitely going to talk. We're meeting after
Two of
this
them.
episode. We're going to talk. I have two of them, so we're going to have to get creative for dressing, and we'll have to come up
Oh,
with names for them and the whole nine yards. So, all right. So, Crystal,
yes.
go ahead. What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say names. We need names.
Yeah. Yeah, we need names. That definitely contest. They need some names. All right.
Yes.
So tell everybody like what when somebody comes with you and comes and
Mhm.
sits down or virtually with you, what are some of the first things you start walking them through? So because like what's like the brain dump for them to help them understand the
Mhm.
pieces of the pie that you can help them with.
Believe it or not, marketing will allow you to answer a lot of questions you weren't ready for, down to sometimes having one location for all of your business information. So a lot of times it's the first step is gather all the info. But for an entrepreneur, it might be in 6 different spots. But when you come to me and I'm gathering that, I'm putting it into one spot for you. And then I'm, creating different systems within your business on the back end, not only for communication, which is very, very important and helps streamline a lot of items, is that communication. But most importantly, I think it's deep diving, again, getting clear, asking the questions, but seeing where they want to start. Do you want to start with social media? Is that what you're looking for? I honestly think website and a funnel. Pearl came to me about ad space, and I always say you have to have a funnel. You have to have a customer journey before you're kind of throwing and seeing what sticks. That is just going to, one, cost you time and money. And anyone that hears that, oh my gosh, you want to do ads, it's like dollar signs in their eyeballs. So what can you do organically, especially if you don't have a large investment? And so sometimes we're starting there. Or for instance, if you do have the funnel and you are looking for ad space, that could be, upwards of $10,000 a month. But ultimately, it's where are you at right now in your business? And then gathering that, it's answering. So I'm asking, who's your client? Who do you serve? Why do you serve them? So I get a lot of great stories, which I'm a storyteller and I love listening to stories. So that's my favorite part. But ultimately, once you understand someone's why, you can navigate in that space. And that was something with you, Pearl. Even before I started working with you, I felt like I understood and have followed you, gosh, 5 years is so crazy. And when I pulled up, I knew kind of where I wanted to go and like what I wanted to have my hands in. And in many ways, you've allowed me to, you're like, I trust you. I trust you. But only because I knew what your brand and what you stood for, because of how much you reiterate that, which is so important. So I think going back to someone's why and who they're serving will always clear up where they're at in their business and allow them to answer questions. So what does Tuesday look like? What does Tuesday look like? Not only your business, are you meeting with clients? Do you have time for new leads? And new leads means new time to set on the call. But if you don't have space and you're fully booked, then maybe that's not where you're at. So again, it's asking the questions and getting clear in their business. But marketing allows you to do that. And that is honestly why I chose to do this, because one, get crystal clear. But two, it was an area for me that I struggled in a long time ago of getting like, where am I at? And I was trying to do everyone else's business and every fancy new thing that comes out, which right now is rapid with AI, which is good, but you can get lost in the sauce of trying to figure out where you're going to land. And if you're always going to a new platform, always moving, well, that's then becomes your business, not your clients and who you serve.
That's so true. I mean, I definitely trust everything that Crystal does for me because we've had a great experience. Like I said, we met in Clubhouse. And a lot of it was just the voice. I mean, I think once or twice we did Zoom, and then I happened to
Yeah.
speak at an event in Chicago, and Crystal came over. We never met each other. I think it was like 3 years. I think it's been a
Yeah.
year and a half now that
Yeah.
I spoke at that event, and so it's like having that trust is so important with who you're with. I mean, unfortunately, my social media person didn't work out, and I could not have that level of trust I needed anymore. So I had to let that person not be part of my team anymore. But it didn't mean I didn't wish them success. I tried to pour into them, and these are some of the things, but having the team around you that's you can trust, it's like when I did mortgages, I had gotten to a point where I was so busy, I actually hired an assistant, which allowed me to go away on vacation with my family without having to take every phone call. Because when you're doing mortgages, you got to be available for everything. And I remember that we came from Virginia to Florida to go on vacation with the kids at Disney World. And I remember a situation was coming up with an agent, and it was early in the morning, and my assistant wasn't in. I said, "Hey, you're going to have to wait till she gets there. And once she gets there, she's going to help you." And having that trust in that team is so, so important. And that's why, like, if I want to go on vacation with Chuck, I want to know that you and Monty, my VA, are going to handle things, that you guys got it. And unless I really, really need it, I'm not going to be interrupted in that time I want for myself. And also to come up with crazy ideas like we just did with this doll, it's a lot of fun. And so you guys are going to have to follow, because if she does, she's going to have to show up in the podcast sometimes too. So, but yeah. And then, but I just, what I want to take, and what I would take away is, like, your goal has to be growth and not just play in busyness. I wrote that down. I keep circling it. Like, you can't just play busy. You've got to grow, because I've learned if you don't grow, you really don't have a business. So, you kind of have a hobby. So I don't want to not have a business. I want to bring income into my family. I want to help my family be successful. And so that's why you put this team together. And that's also why you audit what you're doing and make sure the right people are with you. And if things need to change, you just have that conversation. But you've got to find the people you can trust that are going to have your back, and see what you do. Like Crystal shared, she understood how I serve and where I serve and how I want to show up. Like, she even said, like, "Where's Pearl going today?" Because that's, people always say, "Pearl, you're always on the go." And Crystal nailed it. I'm always on the go, but I'm on the go to do things that I like to do that's going to pour into women. But I also know how to come back. Like tomorrow, I'm going, but I'm coming back, picking up Chuck, and we're gonna go do a family thing. So I know how to create that harmony in my life. So I appreciate you, Crystal, and I think everybody should reach out to you and have a conversation with you about their business and where you can help them. And I know you're growing a team behind you as well, which is really, really cool. So tell everybody how they can reach you and what's the best way to do that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. This has honestly been so great. For me, you can reach me at my website. It's foxbma.com. I'm over on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. LinkedIn, I am Crystal Fox 2020. Believe it or not, I made it that year that we met. And that is probably the best way, but you can go ahead and reach me at my phone number. It is 309-922-5216. And yeah, set up a call, even just a chat. Sometimes getting to know someone will really help. And like she said, I'm building out a team, and I'm only allowing people that I truly know will take care and care about your business. So feel free to reach out anytime. And you have Pearl. So if anything, go through Pearl. She knows where to find me.
Absolutely. All right. So I gave Crystal a warning that we have our Better Questions, Better Life cards. So we're going to shuffle them. She's going to tell me when to stop, and we're going to answer the cards. So here we go, Crystal. Tell me when to stop.
Okay. Okay, stop.
Okay. So our question is, why am I here? Ooh, why am I here? That's a deep one. Do you want to go first or me?
I'll go first.
Okay, you go first.
Yeah, I'm here because of my strength. I'm here because of the experience life has given me, but I am here because I choose to be. Every single day I choose myself, and that is something that I didn't used to do. So I am here to live the life that I want to, and to help others do the same. And I get to do that from a very much a business side of things. And just really quick, one of the things is I had found the tumor on my face when I was podcasting and had to step away. And that was one of those things in life that shakes you. And it shook me to my core, but I lost another shell. It was another shedding in life. So now I get to be here. I get to choose me and kind of stand in that.
I forgot, you've done so well the recovery and everything. Like, I almost forgot about that, right? I forgot that that's like, and it just goes to show that we have these things that come up in our life that are going to challenge us, are going to get at our core. Hence,
Mm,
losing somebody, like, the two of us have lost somebody in our lives. Those things are going to get to us at the core. And so why are we here? How are we here to let that stop us from like moving forward? No, we're not. That's not what we're here for. That's why I love to coach. One of the parts of my program that I coach in the Shiro method is to talk about what's your legacy. Like, are you here to just wear an armor of like mom, wife,
mm,
volunteer, whatever? And so tomorrow, if I'm not here and all my friends are going to say is, oh, she did this, this, and this for everybody. Well, what did I do for myself? Right. And that's what I love to help women do. I feel like that's why I'm here, is like to take my story of all those armors that I wore and learn to get rid of them and step into who I was, so that I am stronger, I am happier, I am empowered, I'm radiant in rooms that I go into now. And all that comes into the original reason why God's put us on this earth, is to be these things that he wants us to be for others, but mostly for ourselves first. And so that if you come to my service tomorrow, which I hopefully it's a long time ago, but I don't know my dash, I'm going to live my dash every day, is
mm,
that you're going to say that I showed up radiantly in life, that I showed up and did these crazy things, but I had fun doing it, that I sat in my front porch swing and I read a book, or I just sat out there and took a nap, that I took a nap. My husband will say, well, she took that daggone cat nap every day, like those things, right? And that's what's
yeah.
important to me. And so that's why I'm here, is to do that for me first, but also I believe that God wants me to pay that forward, because all of our stories are meaningful and we need to do something with them. And so I want you, the listeners, and those that are watching us, to take that from today's show, as well as how are you showing up, and especially with your business. If you're showing up just you're doing business busyness, then you need to reach out to Crystal, because she's going to help you start showing up for your business, so that you're not just working in your business, you're actually working on your business, and taking your mission and your vision and making something happen with it. So I want to thank you for doing that with us today, Crystal. I'm so
Thank
excited we
you.
got you on the show, and I'm so excited we met through Clubhouse years ago. I mean, there's so many things that came out of COVID, and there's so many things that, have we forgot during COVID, that we're back to these crazy lives. But if nothing else, of friendships and things like that, that I've met so many people, if I can just say, like, through Clubhouse, like I met you, and then I met Julie, and through
Mhm.
Julie I met Natalie, and through that I met Anne Marie. Like, all these pieces of the pie, while we went through
Crazy.
something really tough in our world, some beautiful things can come out of those things too. And that's what I want everybody to also remember from the show today, is that we can get dealt some really tough stuff, but beautiful things happen. And we create businesses and we create stories, and all the things we talk about today. So before we go, I just want to remind everybody that you do come into this world. You are a tough oyster. You got some hard shells you have to open, but as you do that, you get to walk into this world and you get to be that beautiful inner pearl to greatness that you're meant to be, and be the Shiro you're supposed to be. So thank you for joining us today, and have a great day. Oh my gosh, you guys, that was so much fun. I loved having Crystal on the show. I loved having her be part of my journey and my business and everything. So if you are struggling and you are basically playing in business, I want you to reach out to Crystal, and I want you to have her help you grow your business. Have a great day.
Why did